joining me tonight is Jess.
Buenos noches, because I'm filming this right before I go to Spain.
Boning up, as they say on the Spanish. And Mama K is here.
See.
See. And
Hey, bueno.
tonight we are doing A Haunting in Venice. Back in the theaters for A Haunting in Venice. I had forgotten this was coming out this year or at all. You're like, oh, should I know what that is? I'm not. My answer is kind of maybe. It's the third Poirot movie, directed and starring Kenneth Branagh.
Branagh.
Oh, I didn't even know this was from the same person. I just thought we were making it kind of a category.
You just thought they happened to. So, I mean, you've watched the movie now, and you've seen Murder on the Orient Express. You didn't see the middle one, but you saw Murder on the Orient Express, which you call Celebrities on a Train, right? We're just jumping right into.
We do like Celebrities on a Train.
Yeah. First one is Celebrities on a Train, is what very early MoviePass movie, very early in our days. I think before we even recorded this stuff, and then there was the middle one, which was Death in the Nile, which I don't think you saw, and I know Nicole didn't see. And then this one came out, and I had forgotten that they were like still making them at all. And yeah, they're all related to Poirot, who is okay. Do you want to explain to the audience who might not be familiar with Poirot what that is?
Yeah. So Hercule Poirot is a detective from the Agatha Christie novels. She has two very famous detectives. One is him, and one is the chick. Okay. And he is notorious. He's Belgian. People mistake him for being French. And he likes things perfectly and simply. And he says that there are no real mysteries. All you have to do is think about everything, and his little gray cells in his brain will help him come to the right conclusion.
And so now we're all caught up. And Jess, you did not realize until this time that they were actually related and not just like our joke related, or did you realize?
Yeah, I thought this whole time it was our joke relating them. I didn't know they were actually related.
So you thought it was coincidental? It was the same. Maybe you didn't recognize
same
the
actor,
perhaps, but it was the same.
Honestly, I thought this was James Bond. I thought this was James Bond.
Poirot is very distinct looking. Like, look at that man's face and the way he talks and
his mustache. For crying out loud!
I'm surprised. I know that movie didn't excite us. It's not like a memorable film, but like that look of Poirot. Like if you, I know this is an audio medium, but people Google Poirot, you're like, oh, I've seen that guy before. I've seen that face with that facial hair. I'm just a little surprised you didn't realize till just now.
Yeah. This is my favorite thing so far about this episode.
The whole film you watched.
Yes.
He's also the director. Anyway, now retired and living in self-imposed exile in the world's most glamorous city, Poirot reluctantly attends a seance at a decaying haunted palazzo. He soon gets thrust into a sinister world of shadows and secrets when one of the guests is murdered. This has a 6.8 on IMDb, a 78% on Rotten Tomatoes with the critics, and with the audience, if my mouse will scroll down slightly, it'll be a 77%. So pretty even across the board, close. So that, if you don't know, historically is high for the scores. The other two are like mid-60s, low 60s, I think. So critically, more well-received. Money-wise, not at all. It's I think the lowest budget at $60 million, adjusted for inflation, and has made the least money so far. The first one made like $350 million, and the last one made, I don't know, like 150, and this one's it's been out for a little bit, but I think it's chugging at, what's it chugging along at? Under 100.
I don't think it's been out that long, though, has it? I
mean, as we're recording this. As we're recording this, I guess it's been only a week. I mean, so that's, what is that? We're at 37 million right now. So give it time to generate. What are we looking at? These films have declined in some popularity, is what I'm saying. I mean, to the point where Jess didn't even realize they were related to each other. So that tells you something. If you haven't seen, what is this called? A Haunting in Venice. If you haven't seen A Haunting in Venice, it's in theaters now. That's all the stuff you need to know, and we are going to spoil it here now. So this is a mystery film. If you don't know the Poirot mystery movies, he gets in a situation, there's a big cast of characters, and it's a whodunit. And if you're a contemporary viewer of things, maybe you know the Rian Johnson Glass Onion Knives Out movies. This is like before that, inspiring that, the yesteryear, the Mama Kay times. And the characters we got going in here, other than Hercule Poirot, it's a who's who at a a mansion seance. You've got a grieving mother and some kids and some weirdo housekeeper people and the lady running the seance and retired opera singers and you got the characters around the house. I don't want to name all of them because that's annoying. But it's who done it in the house. The difference I think in this one compared to the other ones is this is all in kind of one. Oh no, the other ones are kind of one place. This is horror.
Not really though.
Okay, this is all very much in one place, but this is also the only one that's even horror-related at all. There's a few jumpy scares in here. There's, some ghostly stuff. The other two are mysteries and, like, thrillers, but in no way have any horror elements at all, where this one dips its toe.
Yeah, just a few jump scares, that's it.
A few, yeah, and for the Jess standards, maybe they're low, but, maybe we'll start there. Jess, what did you think of A Haunting in Venice?
If I'm being honest, which I'm always honest on this show, I guess, I think that it's probably the same ranking as the first movie, Celebrities on a Train. So I know this one got arguably higher ratings, but I think that it was even higher for what it's worth. I thought it was good, not great. I liked how it looked. How it looked was really cool. It was just in like a really warm... Filmed like a really warm, I don't know what it's called, like cinematic feel, like all the colors are nice.
The cinematography.
Yeah, cinematography. I liked how the house looked. I mean, it looked really great, but I just didn't think that the plot was moving very well. And some of the characters were pretty flat, and I wasn't really drawn to much of any of them. And I guess maybe it was a little bit more scarier. I'd probably be a little more inclined to it, but I thought it was just regular. I wasn't super, super crazy about it.
All right, middle of the road for Jess, if not maybe a little lower than that. Mama Kay, Haunting in Venice?
Yeah, so when we first talked about doing this, the first thing I said was, it's going to be scary, because it does have a horror effect to it, which is not... that's not an Agatha Christie thing exactly. It's, she is the thriller, she's the mystery. So I was not excited about that piece happening at all. But I felt like during the movie, it was all spoiled. All of those kind of things felt spoiled by the previews that I had seen, by the trailers, because that's where the jump scares were. That's where I knew that it was going to be more horror than I usually like. So,
which for many would be bad, but for you.
But for me, it's perfect. I mean, there might have been one that wasn't, advertised. I'm not sure. And some of the jump scare things were just action related. They weren't really like creepy, scary stuff, and that doesn't really bother me.
No, it's the faux jump scare, the loud bang, the cat on the windowsill, as they say.
Yeah, that doesn't... I mean, it's not that. Honestly, it's the creepy girl in the mirror. That does it every time.
Oh, I know you don't like creepy girls.
But I hate creepy girl in the mirror because I grew up during the times of, creepy girls in the mirror, and it was really not good. Comparing this to the other two, the second one really was a challenging bomb for me, and because I really, really held close the original of Death on the Nile, and I think the second one, for so many reasons, the second one was really hard for me. And then in this one, I think they're introducing a new character, a new person who can hang out with Poirot a little bit, and then they go a different way with it. So I wasn't terribly thrilled about that. Having said that, this is definitely a really different take. I think maybe Jess saw that too, as far as like in a cinematographic way. Why is that so hard, Jess? Why are we not saying the right words?
Cinematography. Though you know the word cinematography.
In a
just
cinematography
shape your
way,
sentence around the word you know. If you struggle with words,
I'm way past that on this Monday.
We're way past that.
We're way past that. So there's some different things in play, and I did notice a few tricks and things that they did this way. So I just initially enjoyed it more than the second one. Probably didn't enjoy it as much as the first one, but talk me out of it.
I don't know where I'm going to talk you to, because what I did is by the end I have a take. I figured out what's wrong, what's good about them. Why every time one of these things comes out, I'm like, on the way going to it, I'm like excited to see this. It's like, Poirot,
well,
like
it's
going to be cool.
An exciting kind of movie. Like it seems
like
the audience would really like to watch.
Yeah, you're like, oh, it's a mystery, and like, oh, it's got like this one less people you've heard of, but it has a couple hanger-oners that that you've heard of. It's not the first cast, but it's there, and you're like, oh, like Kenneth Branagh's been making movies a very long time. Belfast he just made was up for Oscars, so like he's still in the game, top of the game. So, and then every time I watch him, I'm actually watching the thing, and I'm like, it looks good. They all look good, but I just like it just is boring as hell, and not as like
calories.
It's empty just kind of. It's so, and maybe I'll just cut in and start with what I think is the problem. It's the best parts of this, and I think this has the highest highs for me, like the parts that I thought were going in this. There were times in this where like it was moving to the point where like this is what it could be if it were like this all the time, but it's not. But like, but maybe if it were like this would be good. And it's when he's experimenting with like the camera angles. I like when Poirot's going around halls and like looking for stuff, and like when he's like
upside down.
Yeah, I just trying
That's
things
new.
that I love the outside, like I know it sounds like grasping at straws early, but it's not. Establishing shots, there is a lot of the rain and the building of the night and the making the place seem scarier, and then that foyer room. I love how he shoots that room when like the Poirot's like in it and like a fisheye lens kind of far away, and then everyone's in like kind of weird far away positions, and it gets closer in on them. And these are all the stuff that I'm like liking, and like it's stimulating to look at. But then the problem is when it's a Poirot movie and he's interrogating people and piecing story bits together. Maybe Kenneth Branagh is not the right director to direct Poirot movies, because I like his direction, but I don't like his direction directing the parts that are necessary for a Poirot movie, which are talking and interrogating suspects, and like he's quippy and he's like getting the little things out of him. I can see Kenneth Branagh, the actor, doing that very well, but him as a director, I feel like we need an Aaron Sorkin kind of director, a guy who knows how to film people talking a lot and make that stimulating. Because what's stimulating about Poirot is him putting the pieces together, and like all the people are talking and watching him figuring it out. And then the best part, in my opinion, of like old Poirot movies are like the last 30 minutes when he explains the whole thing. It doesn't make it's like it's a throwback, and it doesn't really like work in quotations in today's sense without turning up a little camp charm. But like I think that's the strength of Poirot, the concept. And so Kenneth Branagh's strength as a director are like Belfast or like the Shakespeare movies that he used to make, because they're visual and fun and big and explosive. But the Poirot requires something different. And I want to. Does that pass the sniff test to you guys? Because I think that might be the problem here. I think I figured it out.
Yeah, and I think we all kind of are in agreement with how we feel about the movie in general.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of opposition, because I think that that's entirely true. I don't know whether it's Branagh having trouble directing himself, or whether he's having trouble just directing himself as Poirot. Like, I feel like
he's problem? Been in. Have you seen any like what's Much Ado About Nothing? I think he directed that.
Yeah.
I feel like there's stuff. I feel like I've seen him in stuff of his own where I can. It's not. I don't know if it's him and directing himself. Although I have heard he is a tough director to work for, and maybe.
Yeah, but those other things are really more. I mean, not that this isn't an ensemble, cast, but it's a Poirot movie with these people playing. Much Ado About Nothing's definitely an ensemble cast, and he's not. front and center all the time. So I don't know if that's the issue, but I think you might have nailed it. Is that when we saw other Poirots like David Suchet do it, it's like you're spending the whole movie in this suspense for that last 20 minutes of him, unveiling the whole thing. And I really feel like this one, and maybe even the last one, was just like, I was like kind of bummed at the end because it felt like a nothing burger. Like I didn't.
Yeah.
Even though the storyline follows the storyline of Agatha Christie novels, it's like, why did this not land well? And maybe part of it is due to the fact that the cinematography is so good and he's focused on that. And Daddy was laughing at the one point where it looked like he was like running through the castle sort of, and he would have had a camera attached to him. So it was like,
I noted that scene.
And I'm like, this is way too like modern for Poirot. You know what I mean? It's like the cinematography is too far advanced for somebody who was born in like the 1880s or the 1870s. It's like, it feels too, it's either not campy enough, which it's not campy enough, or it just doesn't feel realistic.
I just don't think it's a marrying of the right thing. I think, it may be as simple as like Kenneth Branagh's, later in his career, he has decent cachet and he knows people, so he wants to make Poirot movies. He wants to be Poirot, and I think he's a good Poirot. I've always liked him in all these movies, and I think he's still a good part in it. But I think that maybe that wasn't getting pushed. So like, and then I'll direct it, like, because I'll direct it and I'll star in it. And I'm
Is this the Adam Sandler syndrome? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the problem, like, the difference is Kenneth Branagh is like all about himself, like in the name of art, and also Kenneth Branagh. Where Adam Sandler, I don't know if Adam Sandler is as much in love with himself as he is in much as love with his embezzling money for his buddies. But I don't want to do Adam Sandler again. So no, Kenneth Branagh.
Jess, who was your favorite like cast member besides? Who did you think you were going to like, and who did you wind up liking, if anybody?
So, like I said to Brennan, when I first was talking about seeing this movie, I was like, this is not even celebrities on the train, because I only recognize Tina Fey. So, it was a bunch of nobodies.
It's celebrity in a house.
I didn't even really love Tina Fey. She just seemed so flat and regular. Nothing about her character was really drawing. Like, I think she just could have been a nobody. There was nothing really special about her. And there's not one character that I was extremely, like, on their side for or rooting for. I feel like they were all... Maybe the kid was a little fun and a little different. I was going to say the kid, yeah. But everyone else, it's not like they were extremely unique, or I really was on their side, or I really was drawn one way or another. One thing that I did thought was really weird was the two, what were they called? Like, the two maids or the two servants, like those two kids. They shouldn't have, they just played no part in the movie. And what really
the ones that were helping the seance lady?
Yeah, and what really got me confused was the girl was, like, extremely pretty. She looked like a porcelain doll. Like, she had, like, the perfect face, the perfect hair. And they had these really, like, profound, like, exquisite shots of her. Because, like, it looks good with the way that the whole cinematography is. But I thought she was going to be something bigger, because they did try to draw attention to her with, again, like, her looks and everything. But nothing really happened. And then the whole time she was basically saying that, like, we're refugees, we're poor, we're traveling, and I'm like, you look so well off. Nothing about your appearance shows that you had this hard life that you've been talking about. And they didn't even bring anything to the movie, so I think that both of them easily could have been forgotten and nothing would have changed in the movie at all.
I have a problem. I mean, I don't really like almost anyone in almost all the Poirot movies, too. It's another problem. They're big ensemble casts, and, like, I don't like, I try to think of the last two movies, too. I don't really like most anybody. I like Emma McKay's character in the last one. She was, like, the bad guy. A spoiler for Death on the Nile. But I don't really like the performances a lot in a lot of these, even though these are, like... I mean, I still recognize, like, Michelle Yeoh's in here. You should recognize Michelle Yeoh. Come on.
And Kelly Riley.
Kelly Riley, Jamie Dornan, I guess, and then some of the other actors are like international people, like it's Italian, French, and maybe that's also part of this is Kenneth Branagh's side of Adam Sandler things. He's like, I'll get international people in the seats, because I'm Kenneth Branagh, and I will get the big actors from their countries, so that will get a couple of people in the seats. He could be cynical too, I suppose. Did you guys know what was going? Well, one, did you know who will have done it? And two, did you care about this one? Because I did find myself enjoying more of the ride than actually caring about who done it. I was more like observing the movie stuff, like I said, than actually the story.
Yeah, I didn't catch on to who did it, but there were some scenes that were so bad, or not so bad, but so obvious. It was just kind of annoying. Like when the boyfriend, I think it was a boyfriend, he tasted the honey and he was like, "Oh, this isn't actually honey." I was like, "That's gonna come back." Or there was a time where the mom put the doctor in the room and she was like, "This is a room where it's a safe box or a safe noise or whatever. You can't hear anything out of." And I'm like, "That's going to come back." And I remember there was one more thing that they said, and I was like, "That's going to come back." And that's not me being clever, like picking on the clues. That's them being extremely obvious, and it's just kind of annoying.
I said maybe your movie watching, Jess, has actually gotten you to the point where you've learned. You're like us.
You're picking that up.
You see it. You see all the strings.
I love to take responsibility for that, but I don't think it's me. I think it's just how poor this movie is.
Not Wires Exposed, not The Puppet Show, which I did.
I mean, did you guys both see those pieces in the movie and think like that's going to come back, or like they really like put that out there?
Yeah. The thing is that's an Agatha Christie novel. I mean, that's what it happens, and I find that the older versions of these movies, the acting was a lot more subtle and maybe polished, where you didn't pick up those. But you're right, Jess. Each one of these was like the whole time the honey. I was like, oh, it's the honey. The honey's poison.
It's
and
telegraphed.
And when he put it on his thumb and then he licked it, I'm like, oh my God, is he going to die too? But, he didn't even get sick. So that doesn't make any sense to me. That was a problem for me. But, anytime anything like that happened, it was all real telegraphed. And then when I realized that Kelly Riley, the mom's character, was not telegraphing a bunch of stuff, I was like, oh, it's probably her. Because I don't know this storyline. It's from a book that she did called Halloween. But I don't know the storyline. So when she didn't, when she wasn't living up to everybody else's little like, hey, but what about this? And, the soundproof room and, all that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, I don't know.
Munchausen's syndrome has been so popular in movies, I feel like. So when
I think you've said that on another show we've done
just recently.
Too long ago. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was that recent. Because I remember where I was sitting, and I haven't recorded in that seat in a bit. But it was within the last.
But okay.
Well, I remember. I have the memory in my head, but I don't remember specifics except for where I was sitting. Like I kind of remember the seat, and it wasn't the one I'm currently sitting in, and I haven't recorded in that seat in probably like a year. So that's probably when it was from.
More recent than that.
Maybe a little bit more recent. I've been recording from the spot that's not the.
It doesn't
the what was I gonna say? I dropped the thread there. I got hung up on the seating arrangement.
How things are telegraphed and whether or not the characters are working that way. I also don't really. There was a lot of deaths in this one, and there was a lot of deaths in the last one.
I was trying to remember. Murder on the Orient Express. I was starting to think, is that a thing in Agatha Christie? Every time there's 3 murders, the murder, and then another murder, and then the third murder?
No, in Murder on the Orient Express, it was only one. It was the bad guy that got murdered. Nobody else died in that. And then in the original of the second one, Death on the Nile, it's only the 2 people It's only, the lovers that die. But there's like a body at the end of this movie when they're putting the bodies in, one of the little boats that goes down the Venetian canals. I'm like, at what point, it's like all of these detectives, like Murder, She Wrote, when do you, kick this woman out of your town in Maine? Because murder follows her everywhere. And, at what point do you stop inviting Hercule Poirot to solve a murder when 3 more are going to happen? It's like,
They just did that in Glass Onion, though. That's what you always do. You invite the detective. I don't know who. There's always some weird invitation, something. And, like, really, you're inviting the world's greatest detective to your murder event? This is ridiculous.
I'm opting out. I don't want to go to that. I don't want to go to that event. I'm done. Even though it's in a very cool, Venetian house. And
I mean,
backstory to that that's weird. The backstory to that that's weird, too, is, like, all the death that happened to the children in that house prior to... this woman moving in and everything. It just seems so weird. And then there was also a underlying thing about the cost and money, and I didn't really understand that. Did either of you understand what was going on with that?
I thought red herring-y stuff with, like, the detail stuff, but, like, with, like, the that's when they were leaning more into, like, the horror element of, like, contacting the dead kids and the seance part where, like, it's, like, half fake and he, like, figures it out immediately and then it's actually... Or is like, and then she's spinning around the chair and you got the Sam Raimi camera effects. I don't remember where we were going with that.
Don't think about that too much.
No, yeah. It didn't weigh on the focus here. The Dutch angles, a lot of fisheye lens. I said it was his most avant-garde of this trilogy. Notes here. The blocking is crazy. Yeah, I just made, in the middle of the movie, I was just making notes. I was just like, this is just, like, crazily shot. And, like, I can't believe, like, 60-year-old or whatever he is, Kenneth Branagh, is, like, doing kind of, like, weird stuff that I haven't really seen him do before, but he's doing it in his 3rd Poirot movie. Like, do something, like, go make another, I'll be straight. I didn't see Belfast. I'm sure it was very good, but it looked like homework, and I didn't want to
You didn't see Belfast?
No, it looked like homework, and I didn't want to do homework, all right? I have other things to watch. I have many things.
Go watch
so many
it
things.
when you don't, go watch it. It's not homework.
Yeah, it looks like homework. Look at it.
It's really not.
Look at the cover with the kid jumping and he's got a sword and it says Belfast and it's got a bunch of Academy Award floweries.
I have to tell you that's really not a big part of the movie.
But I'm surprised. I'm just surprised as all like that. I'm saying like at the end of this, is Poirot coming out of retirement at his old age? It feels like that's right. The end of every movie is he's about to come out of retirement. Is that in the books? He's about to retire every time, and then he's like, well, maybe one more case actually, because I feel like that's been. I feel like that's been the end of all 3 movies. All 3 movies he was about to retire, or he did retire, or he was just going to retire, and now he's maybe not retiring.
Well, if he's not retiring, he's going on a long vacation, then all of a sudden he gets the telegram that says, but there's been a death on the Nile, which is totally false because nobody died before he got on that trip. So he needs to calm down about that. What was I going to say about?
I know we're dropping threads tonight.
Do you guys like how they kind of ended it openly, where it's like, do ghosts exist, or was it a closed case? I didn't like that. I kind of wish it was just a closed case and the ghosts were all explained. But they kind of left it open where, there is a ghost and it is haunted.
I think it was just too tempted. It's too tempting to be, and I don't know what the original ending is. Maybe he's sticking with the original ending of
That's
the
possible.
Source material. Again, not a good reason. You can always adapt and change things, but I like Poirot is like, he's a man of like, things must be explained, so there's no, like, he's a science-minded gentleman. I think that's part of this whole thing too, is he's supposed to have like a crisis of God, which doesn't come through, but like that's part of what I've read. It is apparently what happened in this movie that I watched. Again, it doesn't come through. It's not like, that's not what I would think of in this movie. I don't think of Poirot having a crisis of faith.
No, I mean, I feel like Poirot even accepted that maybe something is out there or something.
I think that's a strange.
He did see a few ghosts, but I kind of wish they just dismissed the ghost thing and they.
Yeah, he saw ghosts because he took the tea that had the
Yeah, but I thought they still kind of hinted like there actually were ghosts there.
Well, at the very end, I thought was supposed to be the only time we're supposed to believe that maybe, like, it's like a wink at the camera moment where, like, we see the girl pull the mom towards the water, and they're like, oh, maybe that one. All the others, I think we're supposed to believe, oh, the tea. If we want to believe that, oh, it's the tea. Yeah. But yeah, there were definitely times where, like, he's talking to straight up a girl in a room kind of thing. You're just like, that's some strong honey. Like, that's good stuff. That'd me lay up in bed too. Feed me that shit.
Yeah, I think that he takes liberties. I think that was probably one of them. I don't get the feeling that an Agatha Christie novel ended on that note of, you know, whether or not ghosts exist. He took Brennan took liberties in the first movie for sure, and the second movie, big ones. And I think the biggest one in this one is the character of Tina Fey. Ariadne Oliver is a good friend, or if Poirot has friends, if we're supposed to believe he has friends, a good friend, and she appears often, and to have her like but actually just betray him in this was actually gut-wrenching for me, only because I know her character is truly a friend and a
well, that's probably a good decision then. That sounds like a cinematic choice. If you know the source material, like if you're a fan of the material, you're like, "Whoa, wow, I didn't see that coming." Like it would be like if someone took
like it's an Easter egg.
Well, like it's just a choice. Like if there was a property that I liked and they were making a movie about it, and there was a character I was interested in, and they did some sort of cool twisty thing that made them more memorable, I would like that. I think, or like did something like that with the character. Although then again, maybe I could get precious with it and be like, "That's my character. They would never betray Poirot, so I don't want my precious whatever Tina Fey character to be wrong." You know how people get about their stuff.
Yeah, but I think it's a little bit more of like him saying, yeah, Poirot is definitely just a lone wolf. Like he's not, you know, he doesn't have other people. I mean, I don't remember the guy's name, but the guy they killed off in the second one. And
then
they had to give him another, you know, person to confide in and to sort of help him solve things in this one. And choosing that character to do it, I don't know. I'm not sure I love that.
You think they're going to make more of these? I mean, it hasn't made money as of recording, but maybe I judged too prematurely. Maybe it'll eke out a profit.
I don't know. I mean, we paid $18 because I don't know why, but we saw it in IMAX.
What?
It's in
Why
IMAX?
Did you see this in IMAX?
I didn't even know it was in IMAX.
I had no idea, but all of a sudden...
There's nothing else in IMAX?
We got tickets.
Like, nothing bigger?
No, there's nothing bigger playing. We got tickets, and then I said, where are we? And then, you know, your dad said this number, this, and I'm like, are we in the IMAX? Because that's a big theater. And he's like, oh, I didn't even know. And so we're in the IMAX with one other couple.
Oh my God.
It's pretty, for this, that's pretty sad.
Well, it was Hurricane Saturday, so a lot of people didn't leave their house. But
you saw this in IMAX in a hurricane? That's you and the other couple were the only people on the planet that never did that.
Probably. Should have got their number.
It'd be cool though, like the rain's building up outside as it's building up in the film on the Dutch angles.
Yeah,
so
I was thinking about that too.
Yeah,
there you go.
It was rainier inside the theater though than it was outside the theater. So
I'll leave it on. I liked the little puppet show at the beginning with the claw marks.
I loved the puppet show at the beginning.
I was like, if I was a kid and I went to a place that like put on a production like that, and like that's just really cool. And then as an adult, even if I were in the room, I'd be like, wow, I really appreciate the craft. Like that's a tough little stunt you pulled off there. That was very entertaining. I'm glad you did that.
Yeah, pretty exceptional, but terrifying for a bunch of orphans, I think.
Good puppet show, mid-movie. That's, I guess, is the question. Do we recommend a haunting in Venice, Jess?
I don't think I said one good thing about this movie. I think we probably shit on it most of the time. However, I'm probably still going to recommend it. I don't think it was bad enough where I would say this is terrible, this is awful. I think it's more of I was disappointed because this seems like a movie that could be good, but it's not. But it's not so bad you should not see it. So we'll give it a little recommend.
Classic. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jess just because I am. I mean, and I'm not too proud to say it. I'm a Poirot fan, and you have to really, really fuck it up in order for me to not see another one of these. So he's going to put another one out, or when he does, and I'll be like, oh, but the last one, but guess what? I'm going to go see it, and it might be an IMAX during a hurricane.
Oh yeah, I'm going to recommend this. I would totally see another one.
Yeah, I
they suck. Every time, I totally agree with Jess. Every time I'm like, maybe this will be the good one. And then every time I'm like, it wasn't quite good, but it was okay sometimes. But I'd give it another chance, though. I said it last time at Death of the Nile. I'm like, I liked a couple scenes a lot, but most of it was boring as hell. But I would do it again. I think I'd do it again. It does look nice. Okay, this is the closest to understanding the. It's nice to look at. This is the closest I've ever understood to that. Is these Kenneth Branagh, Murder on the Express? These because Poirot
it's lovely
movies.
To look at, and you're like, oh, at one point in time, could I just travel on a train in 1920s where everything looks so opulent and wonderful? Yeah. I could not afford it then, but that's fine.
It's kind of wrong because it's basically like. Yeah, it's. I think I stand by with what I said, and I'll see if it holds true if he makes another one of these things. Like, interesting, cool filmmaking, good actor to play Poirot, but it just doesn't work telling a Poirot story. Poirot should have a very different storyteller. So, nonetheless, 3 recommends for Haunting in Venice.
Right. That's right.
And
go see it.
Well, yeah, I don't even care. I'm not. I don't even really feel bad about it. I'm like, this again. Did it have work? Did they try? I think they did, and I wish it were better, but whatever. Coming up, we have. Remind me. I saw a trailer for Killers of the Flower Moon. Maybe we can do another trailer talk coming up sometime and talk about some trailers that we saw. You didn't do that with us, Jess, but would you be interested in doing that? Talk about some trailers? Because I have some trailers to talk about the stuff, and there's things.
Sure, because watching a trailer is only 3 minutes.
That's right. That's why I figured you'd be interested in that one. If you have things to recommend to us, though, Films with the Women in My Life on Facebook. Reach out to me on Instagram. I'm Brennan_podhost. And you can email the show, filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Also on YouTube, just search the name of the show. I got to think of a better way to say that, but I haven't integrated it into my spiel yet. All right. Thank you guys for being on for Haunting in Venice.
You're welcome. Have a good vacation, Jess.
Thank you.
See you guys later. Until next time, this is Brennan signing off, saying thanks for listening and enjoy your movies.
Thanks for listening to Films with the Women in My Life. If you enjoyed being a listener in our life, please rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Keep up with the latest from the show on Instagram at Brennan_podhost, on Facebook at Films with the Women in My Life, and on Twitter at FilmsWomenPod. Finally, you can email the show with questions and suggestions at filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Original music for the show was created by Ian Burke and Chris Iwanek. Original artwork created by Nicole D'Alessio. This show is produced by Brennan Snyder. Thank you again for listening and enjoy your movies.